In this video, I'll take a few minutes to talk about some special kinds of audiences that you might need to create with your Facebook ads. So there's various types of those. So first of all, even though you will be using one of these options over here, you could put retargeting audiences in a special category. So a retargeting audience would be targeting, it will most definitely be a custom audience, and you will be targeting maybe, let's say, people who added something to cart. That's a good example of a retargeting audience. So you're retargeting people who already interacted with your business and you want them to continue their customer journey, right? That's one type. A second type of special audience that you might need to use would be the evergreen audiences. Now, evergreen audiences are a specific type of audience that is evergreen. What this means is this is an audience that will be hard for you to exhaust. And this is quite important because on Facebook, let's say I want to create an audience, let's say in the United States, and I want to target people who are fans of, let's say, Robert Kiyosaki. Right. So there's 11 million people who are fans of Robert Kiyosaki, and 5.3 million of those are in the United States, right? So if I use this audience, this is an example of a fixed audience. It's not dynamic. It's not going to be refreshing itself over time. This means that if I create an ad group and advertise to this audience, I need to refresh my creative constantly. So I can create the campaign, and depending on how quickly I spend my budget, all these 5 million people eventually are going to see my ads. And then they're going to start seeing them again and again and again. And it becomes like the killer with the spoon. You're just showing them the same stuff all over again. And they get bored and tired. And the performance of your targeting audience drops down significantly. So this is what happens with fixed audiences. But let's say that I select something different here. For example, one thing that can be interesting is anniversaries. So let's say that I select people who have an anniversary within 30 days. Now, my audience is 1.2 million people, but that's really not the case, because these 1.2 million people are the ones that have an anniversary within 30 days. But tomorrow, this audience will be different. And in a month, it will be completely different. So this is kind of a self-refreshing audience. It's ever-changing, and that's why we call these types of audiences evergreen. Now, you could create various types of audiences like this. So, for example, that could be your website visitors for the last 30 days are also an evergreen audience. You don't need to kind of refresh the creative. So when you create your remarketing campaigns for people who have maybe seen your website for the first time and then they bounced, you don't need to create new ads every single time for them, right? You're going to bring the same arguments. Maybe you can optimize them and change the ads and try and optimize and improve them, but you don't need to refresh the creative. People are not going to get tired of these ads because they're going to see them for a while and then they're going to stop seeing them, and the audience is going to be refreshed all the time. So what's important for you to remember is that you need to consider what type of audience you are creating. Are you creating a fixed audience that you have a fixed number of people who are going to see your ads and then going to start seeing them again? or are you creating an evergreen audience that's kind of being refreshed, and the people who are in it are constantly changing? If they're constantly changing, you don't need to change the creative, and if they're not changing, you do need to change the creative, right? So that's another type of audience that's kind of special. And then there's the Facebook special ad audiences, and these special ad audiences are for the special ad categories. So if you're using ads for credit, unemployment, and housing ads, you already know what the special ad categories are. You can create a special ad audience here, and you can select your source over here and select the location. It's pretty much a lookalike of your special ad audience, right? And this is a good way for you to target people if you're not if you are using the special ad categories, because the targeting there is limited, and so you can create a special ad audience for and upload a significant amount of information about your customers, maybe your most valuable customers, and then create your lookalike audience from that. And it's pretty much the same like the lookalike audience, but it kind of works for special ad categories, which can be useful because they have a limited amount of targeting options, right? Well, that's pretty much it on the special audiences, and we are finally done with the audiences. It's time for us to move on.